Hi, I'm Allie, and I'm going to show you how to make this majestic wire necklace featuring two different shapes of wire and some crystals and even gemstones. So if you want to join in, go ahead and look below the video. We'll give you a full listing of all of the materials that are needed, as well as links to some other videos that may help you as you get more involved and learn your wire working skills. Gather up your materials as well as some tools and a ruler, and let's get ready to get started. So to begin with our majestic necklace, you can see it's something that kind of a fairy would wear, or an elfin queen or princess. You're going to want some tools. So tools, you'll want a ruler because we are going to make sure that our bends are consistent and that they're equal distance apart. You're going to want a needle nose pliers or chain nose pliers, either way works, but you want to make sure that it's flat on the inside. You want a round nose pliers. We're going to be doing some chain link and making round loops for the back of our necklace here. And of course a wire cutter to do so. So I'm going to be using 18 gauge square wire. And the first thing that I'm going to do, and this one's very simple, we're going to decorate the next one up a little bit more, is I'm going to measure out. So to begin, I want to have about 10 inches, and then we're going to keep about 2 inches of the wire. And you can see what I'm doing is kind of straightening it out. If you want to have handy, always a good idea also, your nylon jaw pliers. I can use that to straighten out the wire. I don't want it to look bent or twisted until I get to that point and it is flat on all 4 sides. So first thing I'm going to do is take my bead ruler here, get approximately 10 inches of wire. And then while I'm here, so that way I can put my wire away, I'm going to do my little cut here. We're also going to cut our 2 inches, which is going to be our clasp while we're here. And we won't work on that for a while, so just put that to the side. But now, after you have that 10-inch and the 2-inch piece, you're going to put your square wire back in the bag, and we are done cutting square for now. The first thing we're going to do is make that center piece. And what we're going to want to do is make it right in the center of our wire. So it depends on whether or not you want to hang a bead from there, how you want to go, and how you want it to look. I'm going to change up the design a little bit from keeping it open, and if you're a new beader, you may want to keep it open, to actually using in the interior one of these pear drop Potomac crystal ovals. So I'm going to use this and we'll wire it in after the fact with some thinner wire, but I'm going to use this to kind of get the shape of my piece. I'm not going to overthink it. I'm taking both pieces at the end and I'm literally just starting to bend it towards each other. Want to keep it about consistent. See how I'm just holding it so I make sure I have equal sides on each, and I'm starting to do that slow go bend. We're going to make sure as we do this that we keep the sides consistent and we're just slowly bending. And I want to bend mine so that way that oval drop will fit into that interior and pretty much fill the frame. So you can see I'm not overthinking it. I'm just kind of bending it. Perfect. I have just enough space there to get that in and to wire it in at the top and the bottom. You can see here I kept the example piece open. From here, I want to go in and I would like to make some more bends. Prior to making some more bends, what I'm going to do is to get ready and actually wire this guy in. So that way we make sure our bends are equal. I have here also some 24 gauge wire, and I'm going to cut about 12 inches of my 24 gauge wire just to get started. We'll use extra wire and we can connect that, and we're going to use it for links. In addition to that, I have handy my 2x3 millimeter faceted rondelles and my 8 OC beads to begin. I'm going to dump those out into little piles, and I'm going to show you how we get that crystal in there and how we're going to get started with that majestic look. So to begin now, I have my crystal drop on my 24 gauge wire, that 12-inch piece, and I've put both through going the same direction. If you have trouble doing this, you'll need to coil at the bottom, and you can go to the top and coil as well. Watch some other wire working videos for that. I'm bringing the wire down towards the bottom, and you can see that it's getting that little loop at the bottom. I'm going to slide that little loop onto one side of my square wire, and then I'm going to pull harder. What that's going to do is to get that bead right in the center then of this wire. I can use this to gauge it and make it work. Put it right in there, give a nice tight pull, and we are going to bend the wires one to the right, one to the left to get that to stay in place. I'm just going to bend once around each side nice and tight because I don't want a ton of wire here at the top. So look, now our pendant is right and in place right there in the middle. If you don't do a nice job on that first bend, you can actually keep it straight, attach your piece here, and then fold up each side as you're working with it. From here, we're going to push that wire towards the middle, like I said, making sure that it's right at the top, and we're going to add some of our first beads before we go in and do our loops. What this is going to do is make sure that our loops sit evenly apart. So here at the top, I'm going to grab my smoky quartz. So right now you kind of have this like fountain of wire coming out the top. I'm going to grab my smoky quartz and I'm going to let that drop down on the right side of my wire. Coming in here then, we're going to get a little closer so you can see this wire action happen. I'm going to take this smoky quartz, hold it to the top of the design, and I'm going to wrap that wire right parallel. So the smoky quartz is almost going to sit kind of on an angle once and twice around that thicker wire. You can see you can use your nylon gels or your fingers and just hold that piece right there. So see how that smoky quartz hangs out right in the middle there. While I'm on the center here, I want my piece to match. Go ahead and put your crystal on the opposite side, and you are repeating doing the exact same thing. The crystal is going to be right there. You can see in my finger, I kind of hold it in place. Take that wire to the back there, make it even once, twice around, and to the top. And I use my fingers and my fingernails just to kind of pinch that in really closely, but I want that to match. And the wire's coming out the front now towards the top. I'm going to do a pattern now and go in with my silver lined light sapphire bead, hold that to the top and do the same thing. Once around, twice around, and to the top. One more of that light blue to pick up that blue luster of the drop. Going on and putting on my seed bead here. Holding that to the top. Bringing it towards the back there. Keep that seed bead at the top. Wrapping once and twice as well. Anything that I do on the right-hand side now, I want to go through and I want to do it again on the left. So I'm going to wrap 2 more times, adding those beads to the left, and I'm going to add 1 more of my smoky quartz here on top to the right as well. The next thing to do after doing your smoky quartz 2/8 and then your smoky quartz again is to do another little loop. Now you can exaggerate it, make it more oval like the sample piece, or you can keep it nice and tight like I'm doing here, and then you can see how I'm adding seed beads as well as those smoky quartz beads on top. Right after the last loop, I'm grabbing my round nose pliers and I'm holding at the very, very end of the wire. I'm going to hold at the end of the pliers because I want the loop to be fairly large. I want to make sure that it matches side to side. And I'm going to take the wire and we are going to go downwards underneath the design here and then back up. Whatever way you hold your pliers, you want to be consistent from one side to the other so that way it matches. I love wire working when it is done well and when it's matching. So you want to keep that design because you want to be the person to do it well and keep it matching. You're going to take your wire underneath the pliers, and I'm going right against that portion there of that eye, basically, of the pliers. I'm going to rotate them a little bit and bring it right back up. Once you stick that down after you do 1, you want to make sure they're consistent. Pulling just a little bit tighter, making sure they're equal distance apart. And then what I'm going to do is bring my wire that's right here on the side towards the top here. And I'm going to add another one of my smoky quartz. And it doesn't matter what bead you use or what variety you do for that. When you wrap, you're going to basically forget the fact that the loop's even there and just go right past it, wrapping once and twice, just like we've been doing, pinching it down next to the wire and pulling it up along the piece. You can see here I've also put on one of my 8/0s. I'm going to do the same thing. And then I'm going to make a little bit more of an exaggerated loop. For that exaggerated loop, we're going to do it just like we did the center and just kind of hold it in place. So I'm going to make it on the right-hand side and we'll join together for the left. On the right-hand side then, I went in and I used my round nose pliers to make a little loop. Finished off the end of that square wire with another little loop down and finish off the 24 gauge wire with a bead and an eye pin that we're going to connect onto that coiled eye pin as we do our chain for the back of our design. To start out, I did my first loop a little less than halfway down my right or my round nose pliers. And I'm going towards the top this time. Every other time I've gone towards the bottom, just kind of move that wire off to the side. And this time I'm going to take that wire and I'm going to go over the top of those round nose pliers, kind of flip them from the top jaw to the bottom jaw. We'll get really good at that. Take that wire over to the side. Make sure that loop matches in size. And then take your pliers at the very end here and just go in and loop that extra wire down. So you get that nice little kind of figure 8 in there, and that matches from side to side. Go ahead to make it match even more and just take your pliers and kind of move it down. You can use your nylon jaw from there. I'm going to take the wire, wrap one more time around here, come to the front. Now this is your 24 gauge wire. I'm going to add one more smoky quartz bead on. And then right after that, we are going to go right after the bead, and this is going to be our coiled eye pins that we do over and over again for our chain. I'm going to go and bend that to the back, that wire, go over the top of the round nose pliers till it touches the bead on the opposite side, switch from the top jaw to the bottom jaw, and go ahead and take that wire back 90 degrees. If you need help on this, you can definitely comment below and let us know. I'll also put in the description that little link that goes to our site. We'll have other helpful wire videos listed. From here, hold with your chain nose pliers and then coil that extra wire right around. So you can see we use that exact whole wire. If you wanted to and you needed to cut, you could totally do so. If you need to add extras, again, we'll have another one of those wire reference videos for you. If you want it to be a longer piece, you can always go in and cut that original 10 inches to a little bit longer. So if you want more of that coiling, more of that effect. Now, it's hard to tell, but in this video here, I use the exact same amount of, or in this sample here, I use the exact same amount as this smaller sectional piece because I made less loops, because there's 2 down here, just 1 here, and then also did more of it spread out with a smaller loop in the center. From here, I'm just going to make sure that both sides kind of hang the exact same way, making sure that beautiful station that we created is right there. And now we're going to go in and we're going to do a bunch of chain link, doing a pattern of seed bead, rondelle seed bead. Here in the sample piece, we just did all seed beads. Doing that chain link on one side, I'm going to show you then what it looks like, and we'll go through how we're going to attach it. So the next thing we need to do is make the chain for the necklace. We're doing the whole thing out of this wire. We're not using a clasp. We're making our own. Remember, we have that 2-inch piece of wire sitting here waiting. You can see that I've made a chain link side of the piece. So I wanted to go over how to do that. And to work with it, I did 2 with a pattern of 1, 1, 1 with 2 11 or 2 8s on the side of the smoky quartz. Then I did every other with 3, then 1, then 3 as my middle. The first thing I'm going to do is take a piece of my 12 inches of my 24 gauge wire, grab with my round nose pliers about 3/4 of an inch down, hold underneath the plier and bend the wire to the side. That's going to bring it so I can see both jaws of the wire. I bend that wire that's to the back over the top till it hits. Once it hits on that side, I switch it from the top jaw to the bottom jaw, just opening my hands, releasing the pliers a little bit, and take that extra wire back into that 90 degrees. From here, your link is already there, so you're going to need to link on to the piece, grab that wire, coil the extra wire around the base, which is going to be a little bit longer because we're going to get a couple links out of this wire. Do a little trim, and then add on your beads. Now you can see how annoying it is right now to hold it with that center station piece versus making the chain outside and then linking it together. So what I'm going to do is show you how to link it together, but then look, I already have a finished piece here that I'm going to link on to the loops. So from here, I'm holding right after the beads and giving myself about 1/8 of an inch. Once again, holding with my round nose pliers, turning that wire to the side, that long piece of wire coming straight out from the chest, the short piece you want to see right there, you want to see both jaws of the pliers. Go over the top of the round nose to make the loop, switch from the top jaw to the bottom jaw, and back 90 degrees. From here, you're going to coil again. Now, if you have a piece that you're already linked onto or you've already done a lot of these coils, go ahead and link on to that now. You can keep building and building and building doing that chain link, or you can make a bunch of the center sections and then link them together. Up to you. You can hold with your round nose pliers then if you want, or your chain nose pliers, up to you. You're going to coil once, twice. See why I do the chain separately? And then attach it in 3 there. Go ahead then and cut off that extra wire. And you can see how this necklace is taking a really nice form. Now, after doing that chain link, what you want to do is go through with your chain nose pliers and just go in and just pinch down that little end. I usually do it as my last line of task to do prior to going through and putting it on. I don't want it to scratch. So I'm going through, making sure those are all good. All those loops are there. Everything's looking good. Any spiky ends are down. I'm going to make the chain on both sides here. I want an 18-inch necklace, and then we'll get in and I'll show you how we are going to make the clasp to link into our design. So the first portion, of our clasp is going to be at the end of our chain link. So I have my last link that I'm doing here, and that last link is one of the 3 of my smoky quartz. So I have my last chain connected to the end of that wire. I'm going to do my 8-0, my 3 quartz beads, my 8-0 as well. And from here, I'm going to make a loop at this end. This loop is going to connect to my S hook that I'm using. We're going to pinch one end down, and this one here, we're going to make nice and big. So from here, we are going to go through. This is our last link. Doesn't matter right or left because our necklace does not have a front and a back. I'm going to bend the wire to the side just like I'm doing normally. This loop's going to be a little bit bigger, so I'm holding it a little bit further back in my clasp. I'm making 1 loop, taking it around the whole way, making a 2nd loop. And then I'm going to hold this side here, and I'm going to coil this extra wire. Now I have extra wire, so I'm going to make this a substantial end by coiling the wire over the last couple beads just to enhance that wire working and also make it a little bit stiffer. Once I'm done then, I'm going to cut off that extra wire nice and close to the project, pinch that down, and we're going to go in and now do our S hook. The S hook is going to be super easy. If we want to, we can decorate the center. I'm not going to worry about it. I'm going to take my pliers or my mandrel here, which is just my diamond little edge here. And I'm going to loop around it one way, kind of touching there. Loop around it the opposite way to make just that little S hook. I'm going to cut the wires so they're equal on each side. Take my plier, bend that back just a tiny little bit. See how that goes open and closed? Same thing on this side, bend it back just that tiny little bit for that nice finished look. One of these sides, you see I already kind of closed it up a little bit. I'm going to go through here and push it open a tiny little bit, put on the opposite side of the clasp, and then this one with it doubled is what's going to go on and off the necklace for that nice simple end. Thanks so much for joining me on this mystical necklace. Remember, these wire working skills really will translate to other styles of jewelry as well. So once you have that chain link, once you get the twisting of the thicker wire, you can really have fun creating. If you need any materials, remember again, they're down below the video in that description of the product. We're happy to pass off that info and have links there to help you if you were struggling at all with the design to some of the intro wire videos. Remember also, don't forget to subscribe. You don't want to miss anything from us here at Potomac Beads. Thanks so much for joining in, and stay tuned for our next inspirational design.